That was great. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you to Michael for the wonderful introduction and to Lindsay for doing such great coordination. It's great to be here in College Park. I'm going to start out and read two poems by Pat Parker, who edited her complete works. Parker died of cancer in 1989. This poem is called For Willis. When I make love to you, I try with each stroke of my tongue to say, I love you, to tease, I love you, to hammer, I love you, to melt, I love you. And your sounds drift down, oh God, oh Jesus. And I think, here it is, some dude's getting credit for what a woman has done again. This poem is called For the White Person Who Wants to Know How to Be My Friend. The first thing you do is forget that I'm black. Second, you must never forget that I'm black. You should be able to dig Aretha, but don't play her every time I come over. And if you decide to play Beethoven, don't tell me his life story. They made us take music appreciation too. Eat soul food if you like it, but don't expect me to locate your restaurants or cook it for you. And if some black person insults you, mugs you, rapes your sister, rapes you, rips your house, or is just being an ass, please do not apologize to me for wanting to do them bodily harm. It makes me wonder if you're foolish. And even if you really believe blacks are better lovers than whites, don't tell me. I start thinking of charging stud fees. In other words, if you really want to be my friend, don't make a labor of it. I'm lazy, remember? I'm going to read a couple of poems that are from my first book, Sisterhood, that actually were a part, as I remember, though I didn't go back and check, of my MFA thesis here, and also because they're about my sister, who died now on Saturday. It will be 22 years ago. This is called Ophelia Summer. Some mornings, violet petals cascade from my hair as I rinse off shampoo. They fill the bathtub. It drains slowly, no matter how much I clean. I dream of delphiniums and snapdragons and gentian. I wake with the stains of daylily stamen on my fingertips. Ferns and salal grow between my toes, under my arms. Calla lilies bloom on my breasts. Rosemary and thyme sprout from my gums. One morning, I pulled sage from the back of my soft palate. Shasta daisies fall from my skin when I run the 3-mile loop around the neighborhood. I feel their small petals form as my skin starts to glisten. Round yellow faces pop before they drop to the ground. Sometimes when I extend 3 miles to 4, Gerbers form on my spine, then flutter down as my feet rhythmically keep time. One summer, I bloom, standing at the flower shop 8 hours a day. My legs grow peace lilies, potted and placed in a wicker basket for delivery to funeral homes. Green leaves sprayed with magic floral lacquer so they glisten in teared eyes of those who survive. I learned to make ribbons with glued gold letters, beloved friend, loving wife. But I cannot conjure from my flesh 24 pink roses to arrange as a spray on my sister's casket. Feet. Whenever I see my dead sister, she is barefoot. It was fine this morning at the swimming pool, but wintertime, wrapped in a parka and scarf, I shudder to see her feet completely bare. Though the funeral director said shoes and socks weren't necessary, and it had been hard enough to find a dress that fit. The mortician failed to fix her up enough to leave the lid open, so before the closed public viewing, we gathered in private to see her face, lacerated, abraded, sort of smashed, and thanks to the artistry of mortuary science, caked in makeup. My mother screamed, grabbed her baby's body. My other sister peered behind the satiny drape. She looked up, pasty, no shoes, and you should see her legs. They look horrible, twisted, contused. I said, it was a car accident. She said, look, look, I never did. Dress. When it was time that Monday afternoon to choose a dress for her for the funeral, I wanted sweats and a t-shirt, the outfit we'd all eventually remember her in. Instead, I picked a black and white check with a Peter Pan collar. It was too formal, but it made Mother happy. Laid out, she looked like a child. Where was the young woman she had become, tall, lithe, and hip? The dancer who favored simplicity, and the dress was too small. So now when I see her walking away from me, there's a sliver of her back showing, desiccated skin with no circulation, yellowed like a cheap paperback novel. The dress, cut down the center, is held together with 8 or 10 safety pins. When I call out her name, she turns, smiles. Facing me, she wears blue sweats, a plain white tee, no pins, pressing waxy, dead skin. She and I. We were never close, never dyed our hair together, no tandem manicures, no joint shopping expeditions. We fought. Earlier in the back seat of the Caprice Classic on family vacations, and later on the telephone. Before she died, I told her no one could take her seriously. It was the way she talked, so fast and breathless, ending every declarative with the intonation of a question. She dismissed me angrily. She said, "You don't understand my artistic personality." I didn't. The dancing, the boyfriends, alternative music, I disliked them all. This is the truth. I've loved many women more than my sister. Had she lived, she would have simply been a familial correspondent, treacly holiday sentiments, hallmarked birthdays. Occasionally, I might have called her late on Sundays with an obligatory update. But now, we're closer than we've ever been. Dead. My sister is finally present. So that's the downer part. I'm going to read a couple poems from the recent collection Avowed. These are kind of the falling in love poems. Beginnings. In Michigan, September dusk is chilly. We linger in the parking garage of the downtown Millender Center. Wind whips through concrete. The sun sets. Cars cruise by. We identify makes and models from internal combustion, the squeal of turning tires, running engines, our ears expert at this exercise. Neither wants to leave the other. Polite conversation exhausted, we turn to taboo, what we dream, secret hopes, desire. We've touched only once when she brushed my hand to light a cigarette. I tell her, you must stop coming in my dreams. 24 hours later, each leaving other lovers, we begin life together. Sweater. This is the poem that was terrible, and Stan Plumley fixed it. And so I'm grateful for that. Sweater. I am wearing a cream cable sweater, cotton with a cowl. It is my favorite. First worn from the wash, line dry required. Often, too eager, I wear it damp. Still shapen and knit tight, it is formal for meetings, comfortable for gathering with friends. 2 years later, this sweater, a sweet reminiscence of our life together, until she spilled oily food, salad dressing, perhaps a creamy Alfredo. The sweater destroyed. No wash can clean it. I never find a proper replacement. Bed. The first years, even the best made beds in cold climes lie naked. Sheets and covers cast aside. Oil companies profit on the backs of new lovers. Once we would wake at 5, talk through sunrise, then rush to work. Home again, we resume what we regard as our real lives. Later, early sojourns turn from intimate discoveries to shared anxieties. Phone calls pierce darkness with bad news, and pillows, matted or lumpy, absorb more tears than muffled screams. For a while, our angry cat, Gertie, pees on the bed despite constant litter cleaning and multiple vet trips. Sometimes, between 3 and 4 a.m., on a break from her game of bridge, your dead mother visits. I tell her about our life. She strokes your hair and smiles. Socks. Your mother remembers meeting your father when she was 19, just days from prom queen. She tells me he was stunning, tall, athletic, beautiful hair, and you should have seen his socks. Cashmere. Last Christmas, you gave me 3 pair, black, argyle, cream cable. They are perfect, soft, warm. But after 3 washes, the heel is threadbare. I imagine your mother discovering this early in her marriage. I wonder, what did she find to hold that lasts? I'm going to read, I've been working on some new poems that are kind of like my own Medusa poems. So I'm going to read a couple of those and then finish with the last poem of Avowed. So instead of the Medusa, these are Pinko Kami Dyke poems. The Pinko Kami Dyke hijacks the commercial airwaves with a souped-up computer, a black digital box, and a broken-down microphone that sits limp in its stand until she places her hand at its base and presses her lips to its metal mesh. Electrified, the whole contraption broadcasts her words, her voice, her shows over the air and into 1,000 tiny radios across the region, across the nation. First, she kidnaps an alt-right talk radio station, seizing control to broadcast lesbian folk music. Chris and Holly and Melanie and Bitch and Farron, then old recordings of Leah Delaria and audio tape shows from feminist Kate Clinton. She imagines this music, these stand-up routines, these objects of lesbian culture transforming racist listeners into peace-loving, woman-loving comrades. When she has exhausted her lesbian supply of MP3s and discs and tapes, she takes to the airwaves directly. The Pinko Kami Dyke speaks and shouts and coos and questions and posits. Then she takes calls, interlocuting with people angry about queers and bosses and losses of jobs and opportunity. She is startled. They have more in common than she ever imagined. The Pinko Kami Dyke plots to build the proper tool to smash patriarchy. She imagines a prototype, creates a schematic, builds a model to test. The first works too narrowly, dissembles only a few aspects of patrimony, eliminates the patronym, weakens the father in traditional family structures, but does nothing to challenge, let alone eradicate, white supremacy, and its effects on heterosexuality are minimal. She returns to the drawing board, new plans, samples, prototypes. She imagines the perfect tool mass-produced in a classic union manufacturing shop. She imagines distributing it to young women to smash the patriarchy, to queers to wield against the heteropatriarchy, to people of color to smash white supremacy. She imagines it might even have applications to dismantle nationalism. She wants to arm all the rabble with a tool to end capitalism. Muttering in front of her computer, she says, "Yes, yes, let's build this." The Pinko Commie Dyke arms prostitutes and hookers and ladies of the night with stolen handguns and a small reprinted pamphlet about Inez Garcia, the woman who killed the prison guard who raped her. The Pinko Commie Dyke feels sure the pamphlet is quickly discarded, but that powerful, untraceable weapon, its serial number ground down with a full clip of ammunition, women hold on to it. Use it when necessary. The Pinko Commie Dyke later hears of her work in newspaper clippings and television reports. Men's dead bodies found in the seediest parts of town after she has visited, after she has sat with the ladies. A single bullet wound to the head, 8 shots to the torso, overkill so that the heart explodes. More than one woman killed a John by blowing off his balls, but one spunky gal added her own flourish, cut off his cock and put it in his own mouth. The commie Pinko Dyke recoils from knives. They can turn too easily on the women she wants to aid. Still, she delights in artful adaptation women bring to this subversive revolution. Arming women to pick off men one by one is not a broad strategy for change, but oh, how satisfying for the woman who pulls the trigger. And last one I'll read from the series is The Pinko Commie Dyke Brushes. The Pinko Commie Dyke brushes her teeth twice a day with an $80 electric toothbrush to keep them in her head. On the East Coast, everyone has pearly whites. They brush and floss, fix and repair. Everyone seems to have a mouthful as though affluence repels coffee and cigarette stains, lost teeth and dentures. In the post-industrial Midwest, plagued by job losses and a failed manufacturing economy, plaque and decay settles on pearly whites like rust or gray grit and dust. There is no way to floss over it. Nothing can brush it away. I'll end with the last poem of this collection, just called I Meet a Woman. I meet a woman Friday night after a long day of work and far away from home. I am at an event to hear a friend speak and sell her books. I am tired, exhausted really. All I want is to return home to my lover, our dogs, our life. Then across the room, I see a woman, the kind I always desire, an avowed butch, wearing a gorgeous suit, curly, dark hair atop her head. I can only imagine what is below. Confident, smiling, bewitching. All night, from afar, I watch her. Finally, as the crowd dwindles, we speak. She flirts, marvels at how young I am. Reader, I am not young. Just younger than she, and then only slightly. She touches my face. My face. I giggle. I am young enough for such girlishness, but old enough to know. I want my hand inside her. My desire reminds me of this lesbian myth. Two women are making love. One puts first a finger inside the other, then two, then finally her full hand inside the lover's vagina. It slides in easily to the warm, wet, engorged cave. You know how open we become, desiring, wanting, having another. Then, when she comes, looking into the eyes, when she comes hard. The contractions of her strong, wet vaginal muscles squeeze and squeeze so hard, a finger breaks. It's a myth. But in this moment, I want this woman to break my finger. I think about her for days, how my hand might fit inside her, how she might enjoy it, how she might touch my face again when she comes, my whole hand inside her loveliness, drenched and pulsing, how we might both be young and giddy, breaking things as we come again and again. If I see her again, more will break than a finger. Our carnal sex would fracture or shatter more than a small digital bone. If I see her again, we might destroy many lives. I want to lay my hand inside her. I want her to break my finger. I want to break. Thank you.